and we should be in. And let's start. Right, without further ado, welcome to the very first game of the War is Coming group stage. This is the stage that really matters. Of course, we've had qualifications already, but this is the stage to be watching, as this is where the majority of the teams are going to get to show their real strengths, and it should be a very exciting part of the tournament. Of course, this is the first real stage of the tournament. To me, I count this as being the first stage, ignoring the qualifications, because those guys in the qualifications that went out got stomped out, and the group stages should give us some very exciting and very interesting matches. So the first map in this 5-set series is a land nomad, and yes, that's right, it's a 5-set series. It's not a best of 5 or anything like that. Each team who competes in each set is going to have to play 5 games, and that is across the board. So that's going to be a lot of games from War is Coming over the next 5 weeks. In fact, every week for the next 5 weeks, there's going to be 96 games minimum played in War is Coming, with a potential for an extra 16 games in each set as well. Not in each set, sorry. Potential for 16 extra games each week as well, on top of the 96. So that's a ton of games. I don't know how anyone's going to find the time to cast them, but I'm going to try my best. And this one, I'm doing this one first between Roma and Titanic, because I wanted to do the games that were available first. I want to get in there as fast as possible with casting these games, otherwise I will fall behind, and we don't want that to happen. So anyway, we'll introduce the players and see who we've got. Land Nomad, of course, a little bit of a messier start than most, but it looks like everyone's got their lumber camps up, and they are going to be starting to build their town centers soon. Typically speaking, the town centers aren't going to be going up far from the lumber camp locations, so we will introduce the players, see who we've got. Now, up to the very north of the map, in the green, we've got Antan playing as the Spanish here for Team Titanic. His teammate over to his right in the blue, we've got Iridescent playing as the Byzantines. Off to the far right of the map in the purple, we've got Kuta playing as the Teutons for Titanic. And over to the south of him, in the flank position, we've got VM playing as the Vikings in orange. So the Titanic team seem to be off to the north and the east of the map. They are... well, there we go. Here, as you can see on the minimap, that's the flank VM. The other flank is at the very north in the green, and there's a lot of chat going on. I might turn the chat off for the next one, because I don't know if I can do chat off now, but the chat gets a little bit annoying, constantly popping up on the left side. Yeah, chat off doesn't work. I'll have to use a separate game file to the launcher so that I can remove the chat for the next one. Otherwise, we're going to get spammed out. Anyway, for Roma then, now in the red, just south of our green player Antan, we've got Rox. He's playing as the Spanish here up to the north, and he is on the very flank position for the Roma team. Down to the very south, well, actually off to the far west of the map, in the teal, we've got GKT Cloud. He's playing as the Teutons here in the pocket position. Just to the right of him, just a screen's distance away, we've got the yellow player, Levi B, playing as the Vikings in yellow. He is also a member of Roma. And down to the very south, we've got TWNH Boy playing as the Byzantines, I almost said, in the grey off to the very south. Now, this is probably going to be a pretty big game right here. Land Nomad, of course, a pretty messy start, and the fact that you're starting without a TC really slows the pace down in the early game. And of course, that pace is gradually going to rise throughout the game. But due to the slow start, due to the slowish nature of the start, Land Nomad can end up being quite some epic games. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one goes. And the thing that jumps out at me the most to begin with is that Roma rocks up to the north, and Antan, the green player, are very close together. They're both Spanish, they're both right next to each other, and they are enemies as well. So there could be a potential here for some very early aggression. And looking at these boar locations here, it looks slightly closer to Rox's TC. So for this position for red, it's actually not too bad. He's got the deer right outside, he's got those 3 boar there and the boar here. Now, there's no doubt at all that the green player, Antan, is going to be looking to take some of those boar as well. But if Red's careful, if Red's clever, he could even lame his own boar here and prevent the green player from taking them. And that would be a huge advantage to him, would negate any extra food that the green player would get, aside from these sheep. So that's looking really interesting. That's definitely going to be worth keeping an eye on. Orange player here as well, VM, very far forwards, close. Sorry, not far forwards. He's on he's on the Titanic team. My bad. What was I going to say? I thought he was on Roma, so I was going to say he's very close to the other team, but no, he is Titanic, and he's kind of far out from his teammates. The closest teammate to him is Purple, and yeah, there's quite a long distance between them on the map here. So he might be an easy target for the Roma guys if they want to go for him, but he is playing as the Vikings, so we may see a wall and boom from him in this situation, in which case we see a pretty defensive play from VM and that sling going out to his teammates. Slinging, of course, with the Viking player, definitely a very common option and common strategy on Land Nomad, as well as normal Nomad, as well as Black Forest, as well as any map, really, where the Vikings are involved. It's not unusual to see them slinging their teammates. In fact, if you guys remember that game I cast the other night on this stream, you'll remember that the Viking player was literally the eco for the other two players on his team. He had 200 villager units. That was it. Villager units including trade. So Green has taken that boar, and Red will probably try and do what he can to prevent Green from taking any more of them. If he gets 3 deer and all, 3 boar and all these deer, he is going to be at an advantage over the Green player. Green, though, is going for this second boar right now. Is Rocks going to prevent him from getting that? I don't know. If he gets the house up first, he might hit the boar, but no. Looks like Green is going to get that boar there, and that's 2. That could be 2 each, as Red brings that next boar in as well. And that's kind of a shame for Red. He could have done so much more with that starting location than he did, and he's given Green now those 2 boar. Green's got a ton of sheep, and Red just has the deer, but Green coming forwards to lame those deer from Red, and I'm a little bit concerned for Red now because he has no sheep. So if this deer all rots away with this villager taking them all down, it probably will do, then Red might actually have a little bit of a problem getting the food in to go up to the feudal age. But like I say, this is a really good place to watch. Now for teal and yellow, they're both in the pocket positions. They're both probably going to do a pretty big boom in this situation. They're going to want to support the other guys later on. In fact, with the Viking player here in the yellow being in the pocket position, we might see a sling from him as well, even more so because he's in the pocket. Of course, the Vikings not really great on land maps, but the fact that they are in this map means that they have to do something, and their late Imperial army really lacks in comparison to the others here, so they literally are reduced to slinging. But it is worth it at the end of the day. If you get a good sling onto, I don't know, the Byzantines, or if they get a good sling onto the Teutons or even the Spanish, they're going to be able to be much more effective. They'll be able to get those paladins out from the Spanish, of course, maybe even some conquistadors. Same for the Teutons. Byzantines might not want to go for the paladin, but they could easily do some extra damage if they manage to get some quick army out and sling the Byzantine player. I think obviously in this situation though, you're going to want to sling the Spanish. They seem to be the best choice in this setup, with the Byzantines being a little bit of a jack of all trades. They're great at, well, they're not great at anything, but they have access to everything almost. So the Byzantines, like I say, are a jack of all trades. They are probably not really worth slinging as much as the Spanish or the Teutons, but I expect we will see some slinging action in this game. But it's worth noting, in War is Coming, slinging has been nerfed a little bit. The coinage and banking upgrades have been moved back in age, which means that you don't, well, you can't make coinage really early, and you can't do banking quite so early. So you have to be able to, you have to expend a little bit more resources than normal than getting an early coinage or an early banking, so, or both. So Red going for a pretty long boar lure here. Might even deny blue that boar. And he's walling up in the top as well. So it looks like, wow, that's a pretty hefty wall actually. That's a big wall from Red. But better to be walled than not at all. And he would be sorry if he didn't manage to wall up this and ended up getting taken down by Green quite early on. So I would definitely recommend a wall. Obviously, the last thing you want is to be caught with your pants down and end up being killed off early, because if one player goes out early in a team game, it becomes a 4v3, and then it's an uphill battle from there. So everyone has to be very, very cautious. In fact, I imagine we'll probably even see the Tyrant guys making some pretty big team walls in this tournament, just so that they don't throw any advantages away. So early on in this kind of matchup, it is pretty slow to get going, and I will actually speed things up slightly during the Dark Age, because there is going to be very little action. All the players here are kind of separating themselves off now. Of course, the blue player, the Byzantines, and the Teutons, the pocket players, are both going to want to fast castle this. In fact, the flanks may even go for a fast castle as well, simply because with such a slow start on Land Nomad, you do end up having a little bit more food income, a little bit more food once you reach the feudal age, which means that fast castling also becomes an option on this kind of map, and getting those second and third town centers up reasonably quickly also works well. But it looks like Rox here, going forwards with the stone, he probably wants to do some towers once he gets up to the feudal age. He has got the wall here against Green, and Green as well, saying that he's going to trush in the chat there. So he's taking stone at the back. We've got the red player taking stone as well, and they're both really on the same wavelength here. Both of them got to go with a trush, but I would say red here with the advantage due to the fact that he actually has this wall up already. Now, these guys are already talking about slinging here in the chat, but we will watch that a little bit closer later on, because there's going to be no slinging this early into the game. So Rox is up to feudal here on this flank, and I think this flank is where it's going to be worth watching for now. The green player already feudal though. He went up pretty quickly in comparison actually, and he's starting some towers now already. We can see Rock's going to try and wall up behind this tower. Might end up getting this villager caught out if he's not careful. Antan going up with 23 population. Rock's, on the other hand, going up with 25. Much slower up to feudal. And he's not going to finish the house, or is he? Yeah, that villager going to get sniped if he doesn't run back. So going to have to go back there. These sheep just out of range as well. Of course, on Nomad, Land Nomad, or normal Nomad, you don't start with a scout. So scouting those sheep, finding those resources can be a little bit more challenging than other times. Green as well back here. Look at this. I mean, Green's in a fantastic position. He's got a tower going up behind Red's wood line. Red very slow up to the feudal age in comparison, and this tower on the front denying him access to build houses and wall this up. Meanwhile, Green's right behind Red's TC, taking this deer patch back here, taking these sheep as well eventually, and that's actually very good play by him. The towers are already up, and you guys know how difficult or how annoying it can be to deal with a tower rush. You've seen it all too many times. Red try to wall this out though, stop these villagers from getting in, and Green will have to go back, it seems, on the front. He might try another angle. There is a big wall here from Red, and there's plenty of places where he can tower. In fact, if he towers here, he will prevent that stone income from being taken. So Green with the tower at the back, it's a fantastic location, and I bet that caught Red completely off guard, because as far as Red's concerned, he's walled Green out, but he doesn't know about those villagers behind his TC. So that's a little bit of a shaky start for the red player here, and those villagers being pulled now to the right. Where are they going to go? There's a new lumber camp over here, but he's also trying to get that watchtower up here as well to try and counter the green tower, and just walls up everywhere on this left flank. That tower on the stone is up as well, and that villager might go down. She can't get into the... oh, damn. She can't get into the watchtower, and she was sniped off. So this is going to be a bit of a Mexican standoff over here. Red at the moment with no stone at all, no stone income, and Green meanwhile taking the stone comfortably at the back. He's still got a ton of sheep back here as well, and this is looking absolutely fantastic for the green player. He's taken that score lead with all of these towers and these villager kills and the pressure that he's putting in at the moment. Now, elsewhere on the map doesn't seem to be any conflict at all. In fact, the Roma guys doing some pretty hefty wall off at the south. Stone walls going right across the center of the map. Palisades and stone walls in the middle here for the yellow player, and for grey as well, doing some really big walls. But with the completion of these walls, they will actually have a full wall off across the sort of like, you know, third of the map there, which is going to be very good for them. It will prevent any raiding coming in, and it works very well if they take this to the late game. So for these guys to wall off this early, it will cost them a bit of resource, will cost them quite a bit, and I think as a result, we've got the edge at the moment in to the Titanic team, with the blue player already getting up to the castle age now quite nicely, whilst yellow, teal still feudal, and they're going to be a little bit slower up, I think, in this situation. Meanwhile, red's under a little bit of pressure still, but he is able to take stone now since he took that tower down from green, and green's trush not really going to be too effective at the moment. But now that we have the blue player up to the castle age, we might see a little bit of pressure coming in. There's no stable up for him, though. In fact, instead, we've got the purple player making that stable now and sending a few knights out. I think red's the easy target here, though. Roma really unlucky with this starting location for the red player. He is kind of in the thick of it. He's far away from his teammates. He's a little bit surrounded by towers at the moment as well. And the green player here is not taking any more sheep. He has got sheep here. I don't know why he doesn't bring them over. Well, he did have sheep there. He must be... Where did those sheep go? Green's got sheep all over the place, but he's not sending them towards his mill back here, which is rather strange. He's taking this gold, though, and it's kind of really weird to see red in this squished-in, dodgy location. And that has got to be some sort of disadvantage to the Roma team. So this knight out for Kuta, and he's going to be looking to see what he can find. But as I say, this full wall off from the Roma team is going to be really beneficial to them. There's going to be no sneak attacks coming in from behind, and they are going to be comfortably able to boom up behind these walls. Now, we'll keep an eye out on the Viking players. In fact, the Viking players seem at the moment like they are not booming. We've got the Viking player VM actually into the castle age now, but they did talk about doing a castle age sling. It seems like VM might go up to 3 TCs. Whoa, not scout, sorry, knight coming in from NH boy there. Gonna get a villager kill and might even get a second. Gonna stop this wall off from VM. And Kuta here with that knight gonna try and stop this Byzantine knight from doing any damage. But NH boy, sorry, Grey, gonna try and get that villager kill if he can. It's worth probably sacrificing a knight for 2 villagers here, and he's gonna get out of there scot-free as well, with this wall still being wide open. Kuta having to bring his own knights back now from the front to try and take that knight down as VM continues to wall this up. So VM, obviously Viking player here, he's not actually slinging at all, but he has gone up to 3 TCs. He might decide to boom and then sling, because at the moment a fast aggression is not going to be all too effective from these pocket players, since this wall off is so stoned up across the center of the map. So towers coming up forwards from Rocks now, and Rocks still going to keep those towers coming up. Still going to try and do what damage he can. He used to get a little bit of a revenge play against the green player. The green player here still feudal, and it looks like he was struggling to get food a little bit. His food income going very low now at the moment, since he doesn't actually have any more deer or boar or anything like that. He is now taking quite a few farms, but obviously a lot of his villagers taking stone at the back, and that is going to affect his food income somewhat. He will take that tower down from Rocks, though. Rocks is going to have to fall back and make a tower back here, and it's just going to be a little bit of a slow-paced play, I feel, from these guys at the moment, as these towers continue to go up, and this is going to keep both of them in the feudal age for much longer than everywhere else on the map. This green villager, look at that, kind of stuck inside of the TC there. You don't see that every day. And Rock's going to have to run, because those villagers are getting fought by the villagers of the green player, and they might go down if he's not careful. Should just get back in time. And whoa, Anton losing a couple of villagers here to the towers of Rocks as well. But it seems like this tower's going up all over the place. And at the moment, red is pushed off of farms. So Rocks, I don't know, probably taking a little bit more damage for the time being, but he does look closer to the castle age than Antan, to be honest with you. So in the center of the map, it's getting a little messy now. There seems to be a lot of colors all over the place. It's a little bit more of a patchwork coloring in the center of the map now, as purple runs across. We've got yellow running around with some knights here as well. And at the moment, yellow getting into the eco of Kuta might get a villager kill here. In fact, he's definitely going to get a villager kill here. One more hit as that TC goes up, but that's really good. He might, if he micros this knight better, he might even prevent that TC from going up entirely. But no, it went up and the villager goes in. But if he'd have attacked the female villager and actually switched between attacking both of them, that TC may not have gone up, and Kuta probably would have lost the TC there. Well, not lost it, but he would have had to send more villagers to build it. But fortunately for him, managing to get that town center up. Now VM is up on what, 4 TCs now? That's quite a big amount of TCs for the Viking player, and I imagine we will see some slinging coming in eventually. But both Viking players are castle, both of them are booming, and in fact every player at the moment is booming, aside from the 2 guys who are still feudal, Antan and Rox, who are continuing to tower each other up. And I'm surprised, really, we've not seen any knights coming in here on this top area, because I mean, a couple of knights in here, obviously both of them are feudal, could really lock down this area quite well. And for the Titanic team, if they get some knights into this area back here, there's no towers or anything, they're quite far from the TC, these villagers, so they could probably get a few very easy villager kills. Some of these are very low in the back of this wood line. A couple of them would only require 1 knight hit and they would go down, but Kuta seemingly not sending his knights over there. Iridescent at the moment not actually building a single knight so far, just booming up as the Byzantines on 3 TCs. But that university is up, that monastery is up as well, and Iridescent here is still quite far from the Imperial Age, but he is going to be ready to go up as soon as he hits the 1,000 food. Well, not even 1,000 food, he's Byzantine, so he gets to go up even on even less resources even. But yeah, gonna get those 2 Castle Age buildings out. He's going to be ready to go up soon. That's a nice thing about the Byzantines as well. They do get that cheaper upgrade, so they can get up to the Imperial Age nice and early and take advantage of the Imperial Age perks. There are many perks to being Imperial. But yes, quite a big boom from him now, actually. 3 TCs, but there is a 4th going up on this gold on the front. One thing I've noticed, though, is that the Titanic team really don't seem to be walling up quite as much as the Roma team are. Of course, we are seeing some stone walls coming up now from the green player, but it's not very walled in the middle of the map for Iridescent. I mean, knights could just run in here and cause a lot of havoc. In fact, the yellow player, Levi B, has got some knights up around this area already. And that's kind of a big difference compared to the Roma team, who are, at the moment, very walled, very defensive, and just booming up and starting that military building production now. So that they can start spamming the units once they reach the Imperial Age. So, looking very quickly at Cloud now. Cloud, the very well-known Taiwanese, I think he's quite well-known, Taiwanese streamer. In fact, I believe he was streaming this game and then got told to stop because you're not allowed to stream the games live while you're playing them. He's on the way up to the Imperial. Of course, those stables are up. The knights, the bloodlines upgrade is coming in, and those knights will be upgraded into Cavalier very quickly. And the pressure, I feel, is very much on now for Iridescent and his team to wall this center of this map up, because if they don't wall this, it's just going to be a wide open entry into their base, and that is a problem. It's so important to have a team wall in these 4v4 games, because it will protect your eco quite a lot and make sure that you can keep your trade line nice and safe as well. So we've started to see that sling now from Levi B, and the reason I think it's coming in the Castle Age here is because the sling is kind of nerfed a little bit in War is Coming, because they have added a kind of custom patch that means that you can't get that coinage and banking upgrade early. So, like I said earlier, it's been pushed back in age, which means that for Levi B, he can't get coinage early on. You may as well go castle, boom up, and then sling with a larger eco. And I think, in a way, it doesn't nerf slinging that much. It just nerfs slinging early game, which means that you aren't going to see someone going castle on a flank and then getting slung like crazy and building more knights than anyone can ever deal with. But at the moment, it looks like the Taiwanese team, Roma here, getting very aggressive now, starting to take down these walls from Antan, and this is kind of annoying for the Roma team, I guess. This wall off here from the green player is preventing them from actually sending any units to their teammates' base. Rox has made it up to castle though, and Antan is still feudal. Rox with the plays on the front, putting up that castle there right outside of Antan's TC, and that's going to be horrible if that TC goes down. It's unlikely though, as the Castle Age upgrade is at 45% now for Antan, but that castle will be a pain in the ass, and Rox has got more towers up in here as well, so that TC going to get surrounded. Antan going to have to rebuild. Fortunately, he does have quite a lot of stone left in the bank. He can get the TCs up, but that castle's pretty nasty, and that is going to put green very much on the back foot, which is going to make this game pretty tough if the Viking player is slinging. So if you've got the Viking player, orange, slinging, the purple and the blue player, that's all well and good, but the green player now, he's still feudal, very slow up to castle. He's got a castle outside of his initial TC. That's costly, and I'm wondering actually if VM is even going to be slinging here at all. His resources seem fairly low. I can only assume the sling is going to be coming in from him. There's no military buildings at all, just a ton of TCs, and there's the sling. He's slinging the purple player. He's coming down here and going to be building some military buildings in the center of the map, but this over here is looking pretty risky at the moment for Antan. We've got a lot of those Teutonic Knights coming in. Not actual Teutonic Knights, but Teuton Knights. And they are pushing Iridescent right back. Iridescent at the moment is now up to the Imperial Age, but I'm not seeing a huge amount of military production from him. He's got stables on the front, actually, and that would be why I didn't see that military production. I was looking further back. That Cavalier upgrade coming in for both him and Cloud, but Cloud seems to have the larger numbers of Cavalier at the moment. And look, there's Antan now running his villagers away. Iridescent leading Cloud into Antan's villagers, and that's going to be messy, because if Cloud catches these villagers here, that's going to be a lot of dead villagers for green, and that's going to be a lot of wasted time that they need to make up very quickly. It looks like those villagers have been spotted. He's on the trail, and green now going to lose a ton of his eco. It doesn't even matter if Cloud loses all of these Cavalier. I feel that amount of damage there is more than enough to justify that. So many villagers going down for the green player. He's quick walling the back of his base. Meanwhile, this TC is getting taken down by Red's castle, and the back of his eco is looking really weak now as Cloud takes down those villagers. Poor Antan, poor Antan. So Red's not in such a bad position now. He has got that second and third town center up and running. He's got more population than green, and although yet he is still castle and he's not making much military yet, he's in a decent position still, because he is able now to have the protection of his teammates over here. He hopes, I say, as Kuta comes in with these Teuton Knights, +4 defense on them, Cavalier even, and that's going to be pretty nasty for Rox if they get into the back of his eco as well. But like I say, these two guys, the green player and the red player, really hindering each other there, as they were both tower rushing, and that delayed their castle time so much. Meanwhile, on the right side of the map, the teal player here getting a ton of villagers on VM. I'm not quite sure what VM was doing with those villagers. Perhaps a peace offering with all this gold being taken to Grey's base. But yeah, that did not work out too well for Orange there. Not really sure what he was doing with those villagers. Orange with a ton of halberdier though, of course, making use of that cheaper Byzantine halberdier, skirmishers and camels. And in fact, it looks like the Byzantine player, the blue player here, actually switching into heavy camel now. And I think that's a very good decision. The Byzantines, they don't have the best camels in the game, but because they are cheaper, you do get a lot more value out of them. And with teal clearly going for Paladin here, it does make just too much sense for the blue player to be massing up some heavy camels, though it doesn't make much sense for those heavy camels to be fighting under this castle. Those heavy camels pretty much getting one shot by the castle here. That's pretty painful to see, as the red player's castle does so much damage, and those conquistadors in there as well are getting cut down. But yeah, I mean, blue camels, they're not good at raiding. They need to be down here fighting these paladins that teal is starting to mass up on this left side. Meanwhile, on the right side, yeah, that's a lot of halves from the grey player, and that castle from Kuta is not going to be so successful by the looks of it, as it gets taken down by the halberdier, and Capt Ram coming in from teal, grey as well. Now the problem here for VM is that he is slinging, and he needs purple's defense. on this right hand side, because without purple here, VM actually has no answer to this pressure or this aggression from NH Boy. So there's nothing down here at all from purple, and if NH Boy gets in here, then that means that VM Zico is going to be gutted, as he's got, like I say, no protection over this side at all. However, on the left side, like I say, a lot of camels coming out for Iridescent now, and Cloud is pretty much 2v1 on this left flank. It's Paladins from Cloud versus the Paladins of Kuta and the camels from Iridescent as well. Very difficult to fight that in a 2v1 situation, especially with those camels in there as well. For the Teuton player here, it's going to be pretty tough, and maybe doing some hand cannons would be a good idea. I know they're not, no, maybe even some pikes just to get in there and back this up. That would be very beneficial, because Paladins alone are going to die to these camels eventually, and the camels will trade much better as they are Byzantines. In fact, we've got NH Boy coming up with some Halberdier here to support Cloud on this left flank. However, Kuta coming out with those Teutonic Knights, the actual Teutonic Knights this time. Absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm terrible with colours. I realize I'm saying the wrong colours a lot, and you're gonna have to get used to that. I'm working on it, but my mind doesn't interpret colours very quickly, and I'm always getting them mixed up because, hey, I'm a fool. Anyway, yes, purple Teutonic Knights cutting through those Halberdier from grey. They're going to go down very quickly to the Teutonic Knights here. Halberdier just do nothing, really. They just tickle them. A little tickle to the Teutonic Knights as they rip through the halves with 5+3 melee armor. That is a ton of melee armor, and the castle goes up for Kuta as well. So that's looking good. However, this is a problem. The fortified wall upgrade from VM does come in, but the rams are getting through that much faster, and with the hand cannons behind it, NH Boy has a counter to those Teutonic Knights, and also a counter to these villagers that are trying to build this fortified wall up. So looks really bad for VM on this right flank. Could be losing a lot of eco over here very soon. And like I say, Kuta needs to help him out here. On the left side, though, these guys are now pushing forwards. These Halberdier from Grey really starting to help out quite considerably. We've got Halbs coming in from Cloud as well. And of course, he is spending that gold on Paladins rather than the hand cannons. However, I still think hand cannons on the flanks would be very beneficial to all the players, simply because they'll deal with any trash that come out, any pikemen for instance, and they still do great damage to those heavier units like the camels and the paladins as well. Red's struggling though now, since those paladins getting into his economy, doing a lot of damage and causing him a very big ball ache to his eco. Purple's going to be doing a lot of raiding with them, and with only +1 attack on these town centers, yeah, they're going to last a while, only doing 1 or 2 HP damage per volley of arrows. Those paladins are so tanky under those weak town centers. NH Boy though, with these halbs, going to be really helping Cloud to push forwards on this left side, and they are coming in wave after wave of paladins at the moment. Whilst in the center of the map, we've actually got more stuff coming out from Kuta. These guys, the Roma team, doing a the Titanic team even, doing a very good job of actually securing these gold spots in the center of the map. It's very valuable. All of this extra gold here, Roma is nowhere near to it, and they might run out of gold much sooner as a result, which is going to be pretty bad news for them. But this is a big problem for VM. Of course, those siege rams eventually getting through that wall, and NH Boy building some forward barracks as well here so he can reinforce with the halbs much faster. Those paladins coming in at a good time from Kuta though. They're going to take out the rams at the very least, but like I say, going to be tough here for VM to defend this, as the Vikings, he really is relying on his flank. But it's looking very bad for Titanic on both flanks at the moment, as they are pushed back over and over again. Rox just needs to clean up this wall here, or not clean it up, like patch it up even, and he will be okay, I guess. Somehow the green player still has a villager back here to build these walls. I don't know how he's got a villager over here, but he has. Must have kept it in the corner of the map or something. Trying to rebuild these walls to prevent Rox from escaping out this back side. It's kind of clever because the red player just cannot easily run back now. But whoa, we got the elite Cataphract out from the blue, iridescent, and heavy camels plus Cataphract. That's a very strong combination. He is going to be able to fight these paladins head on. He's going to be able to counter those halbs helps with the cataphracts, and blue's looking very good on this left flank now. Since he added those cataphracts in, that is going to make a hell of a lot of a difference. And it seems like the momentum from teal has actually slowed down, if anything now. I thought he was looking great a minute ago. But yeah, cataphracts are in, and that is not nice for Cloud. Cloud's still trying to get through this wall over here, though. It looks like VM managed to repatch it up, which is very good. Getting that patched up wall is just going to be so useful. They need to make sure that NH Boy can't keep running in here and causing havoc into the eco of VM. In fact, Kuta really sending a lot of paladins down to this flank now to make sure that that doesn't happen. Easier said than done, though. Those villagers getting cut to bits every time they try and build a piece of wall. Not nice at all. But look at this, VM sending, letting a little flank come in from Kuta now. Kuta coming in from behind, and that could be pretty bad for NH Boy if Kuta even goes that way. He's not. He's going across the center of the map, and I'm wondering where he's going to go here. Meanwhile, Levi B still slinging, and they're starting to get a lot of trade up here. In fact, Levi B also Imperial now, but look how much trade there is going up here for the Roma team. Just 5 markets, I can't count, just from the yellow player alone, and these guys really starting to kickstart their trade very early on. The other team starting to get their markets up as well, but I've got to say their map doesn't look quite as good for it. They are going to have to open up a little bit of this center passageway here. This could be a real big sticking point for these trade carts. They could lose well, not lose them, but they might get stuck if a lot come through this area at once. Also, these houses really getting in the way from blue, causing the trade carts taking a horrible route through here. And these guys may want to decide to open that up a little bit, maybe rebuild the houses at the back when they get space. You know what would be even better still? I mean, look how open the back of this map is here for these guys. Imagine if the Teuton player gets some siege onagers out and starts opening this. They would just have a completely straight line at the back of the map to trade through. I think that would be a very, very good thing to do indeed. But anyway, Cloud looking pretty shaky on this left side as his castle gets taken down by these blue trebuchets. And like I say, that cataphract and camel combination is so mega. It's going to be taking down so many of Cloud's units. The pikes just don't counter this. This is why I say now that hand cannons would be a very good idea. Hand cannons will do good work against the cataphracts. They're going to do great damage against them, and they can take out the camels as well pretty quickly in this situation. So Iridescent trying to push forwards here, doing a good job of it. Cloud going to do everything he can to stop him, of course. And it looks like, Rox not managing to get through this wall. He's still going, but he's up to the Imperial Age now. And he's building a lot of town centers back here. They really need, Roma really need to get Rox on his feet, because they can't take this on with the blue player just all over this with those cataphracts. They need to get some more support here, and that's got to come from Rox. The Spanish player is going to be so vital in this game, so crucial to a victory, as the as the Spanish player even benefits from those paladins as well. And we're not seeing any paladins out from Rox at the moment. He simply cannot afford them. But yeah, blue having to go back slightly there, fighting underneath that TC, and teal even. I don't know what color is what. Teal reinforcing very quickly. I'm wondering where all those paladins from Kuta went, though. Oh, there they are. They never did go around the back of NH Boy. NH Boy actually starting to put up some bombard towers here on this right flank. And yes, it is taking him a hell of a long time to get through these walls, and that's exactly what VM wants. They want to hold him at bay as best as possible. But yeah, these paladins coming out from Kuta, and they are just going to control the center of the map even. These guys, like I say, the Titanic team even, both start with T, taking control of those extra resources right in the middle of the map, and they're getting a huge gold boost from that. In fact, Iridescent here, he must have quite a few relics as well. Oh, he's just got one. I thought he had more. I saw him collecting one earlier, but it was the same monk that he forgot to move. So yeah, they're collecting up those relics. And that's going to be very valuable to them. Antan now also up to the Imperial Age with that Cavalier upgrade as well. So Green's getting into the fight. We've got Red also trying to get into the fight here, but he has had a very tough time. Saying that, so is Green. They both had to rebuild from the Feudal Age after getting raided like crazy. But gotta say, Blue looking very good. I think he needs some more camels in here. Of course, one-on-one, the Byzantine Cataphract is not as strong as the Teuton Paladin. But Blue is going to be able to counter those Halbs as well, and he has got great numbers here also. So he's able to do a lot of damage against this Teal army, and it looks like a very big stalemate on this left side for now. Teal reinforcing very quickly, and Blue not able to really gain much ground at all. I think he lost his trebuchets back here, which is obviously a very big problem. Those Cataphracts going to move up though, and Elite Conquistadors actually out for rocks here, bringing the battle to this center, or this left side I guess. Iridescent pushing right past it, having to come back to fight that with those Cataphracts, and he is going to absolutely wreck that if he gets in there. I think the Conquistadors definitely going to be a great unit to have on the field here for the Roma team, but I think they really need to be kept safe behind a layer of Paladins or Halbs or something like that, because they will die pretty quickly when they get surrounded like this. They need to be kept safe behind a wall of units, and that is what Cloud's job is at this point in time. Now we've got the Viking player Levi B actually starting to make some units here in the center of the map. He's starting to mass up some of these Arbalest, and I think it's good that these guys, the Roma team, trying to get a few more units out onto the map, but at the same time it does look like they are losing a hell of a lot as well. Kuta coming in with some really nice, well-positioned, well-timed Paladins here. Should be able to take down a couple of these trebuchets. Oh, so close. One gets taken down, and he is losing those castles in the center of the map. But the resources have already been taken. All of these blue villages are dead, but the gold is already taken. We'll have a quick look at their resources, actually. Kuta's got 1,100. Blue player has 0. Levi B, the yellow player, with 1,700 gold at the moment. VM with 200. He's probably sending it, all to his teammates. And Rox with 1,100. That's good, actually. The red player here, actually with quite a lot of gold, and he is going to be starting to mass up some of these units now, which is going to be so important for holding this left flank. 1,500 gold for Cloud, and I've got to say, it does look like the Roma team at the moment is in a better position with gold. I would hazard a guess that they have more trade at this point in time, simply because they seem to have more gold at first glance. I don't know, maybe their trade line's a little bit more efficient or something like that, but Cloud with a lot more gold than the Byzantine player, the blue player at the moment, and that's going to give him a little bit of an edge here if he keeps the unit production up. We've got Elite Teutonic Knights coming out from Cloud as well. So slow, such a slow unit, but at the same time, so strong when they get into the battle. We've got the Paladin now from the green player, Antan finally getting the Imperial Age and that Paladin upgrade. It's taken him a while, but that is going to be so valuable to this fight on this side. But those Teutonic Knights are coming in, and they are looking pretty dangerous on this left flank here. Iridescent's gonna lose that castle if he's not careful. In fact, he should probably delete that, because that castle will not go up. There's trebuchets firing at it already, and yeah, he's gonna keep going. He's gonna keep going, but that castle will probably fail at this rate as the trebuchets deploy on it and continue to fire as well. Teal was looking so good a second ago on this flank though, but the units just keep coming in. It's non-stop, constant flood of units, as Rox's base now being left open on this top side, meaning that green can come in with these paladins and trebs and start to clear that out. In fact, there's still some gold here, which is really unfortunate for the red player. Red's got a few conquistadors out, but not enough halbs to support them. They need to have that combination of conks and halbs if they're going to be efficient here. But it's kind of, this left flank is split into two fronts simply because of this wall off from Rox. And these guys are going straight into this center of his base. Fortunately, Rox managed to get out and build up behind. but it's looking good for Antan here as he takes out a lot of these villagers and a big section of this eco from red. Still a huge fight here at the center though, and those Teutonic Knights, I'm telling you, they are doing work. Obviously the Cataphract has an attack bonus against infantry, and I can guarantee you at this point in time that the blue player has got Logistica done, but the Teutonic Knights are so good even still. But I'm still concerned for Cloud here. We'll have a quick look. Cloud, where is he? There he is. As we highlight these units here, he really doesn't have much. Those Cataphracts really are doing work. But he did manage to take that castle down from Iridescent, as Iridescent builds another one right away. Looks like those Trebs are at great risk, though, for Cloud here, getting taken down very quickly as the units swarm it, and that's very costly. 200 gold for each Treb is no small amount. Center of the map, though, good play by Kuta. Kuta seems to be thinking ahead, really. I mean, he does seem to be in a good places, and he seems to have very good positioning, good map awareness. Coming forwards with these Paladins, with these Teutonic Knights as well, able to cut through those Haubs from NH Boy. Castle going up in the middle, and these guys really want to secure these extra gold piles that are in the center of the map with that castle there. Now on the right side, NH Boy has gained very little ground. He's put a lot of bombard towers up, which is, you know, a great choice for holding the enemy back, or pushing the enemy even on the flank, simply because they have so much range and so much attack damage. But these guys, VM and Kuta even have managed to defend this. More fortified walls coming up, and Onager upgrade done for VM. He's had that for a while, I just didn't point that out. But yeah, I'm sure he's been able to do a lot of damage to the siege rams of the Great player here, thanks to those Onagers. Now on the left flank, it's still a big battle, slightly shifted towards Roma now. Titanic pushing Roma back a little further. But all the castles, they're so queued up at the moment as well. Teutonic Knights coming out like crazy. And this is when I wish that we had 300 population limits in AOC. I would love to see 300 population games like this. It would just be so much more awesome, don't you think? With like not 5 times, what am I on about 50 more military units for each player. It would be awesome. But hey, this is still pretty great. We've got a lot of death and destruction on this left flank, with very little movement actually between each team. Now I hear a lot of villagers dying. I think that's Blue killing off his eco here, making way for more Cataphracts. That's what we like to see. The best unit in the game, by the way. Well, my favorite unit in the game. Cataphract isn't the best unit in the game. There's not really a best unit in the game. But I feel like at the moment, Cloud, with all of these Teutonic Knights, I don't know if this is a mistake or not, because let's be honest, the Cataphracts are looking so good here. They are going to take down those Teutonic Knights, especially since they have Logistica. The only thing that's going to counter these Cataphracts at the moment, well, are these castles, which are putting out a lot of damage onto them. And now we've got Levi B with some supporting Arbalest behind this, but yet again, Cloud getting his Teutonic Knights massacred in an instant, and Iridescent seemingly not even losing any Cataphracts here. He just ran in, killed the Teutonic Knights, and ran back again. He's doing a fantastic job of it. Meanwhile, Antan on this left flank pushing forward quite a way, but it looks like that's about as far as he's going to get, with Rox taking down those costly trebuchets. 5 going down there, I think 4 or 5 anyway. And Rock's going to be able to take down those hand cannons, with his Conquistadors being so much stronger in this situation. Hand cannons don't fare too well against the Conquistadors. I mean, they have a bit more range, but the Conquistador have more health and more damage as well. Center of the map, Kuta's trying to push still, and that's a lot of hand cannons from NH Boy there. And even if you have Paladins, you are not going to be putting up so much of that hand cannon fire. And it looks like NH Boy and who's this here? Levi B probably going to be able to push Kuta back a little bit at the moment. While VM, it seems like VM is still just slinging. I'm going to hazard a guess that VM is still slinging, sending mostly gold. I think he's got a lot of trade units here. 87 trade units for VM at the moment. Most of his population is made up of eco, and he is just continuing to send that gold to his teammates, because that is so crucial. The gold for these players is what is really going to keep them afloat on this left side. Imagine if one of these players had to just make trash alone. If, for instance, Green here could only make trash, he would die so quickly. Any halberdier would get cut down by the Arbs, by the Conquistadors, by these Teutonic Knights. The gold units are what are going to win this, and the amount of gold collected at the end is going to be pretty huge. I'm guaranteeing you that. These trade carts getting pretty bumpy though. That's the one problem with this. Having so many trade carts does lead to a kind of very messy trade lines, which slows them down massively, and in fact could end up leaving you with less. In fact, there we go, like even more bumping on this well, center area of their trade route. Blue needs to delete his houses and delete these lumber camps, because that is causing congestion, and congestion is very bad. This is why a siege onager and opening that out would be huge. Kuta coming in though, nicely done. Timing is everything, and Kuta's coming in here on this left side. Anton is backing this up with those hand cannons, and it looks like Teal and Red are about to get completely overrun, and they are going to be pushed right back. I mean, Cloud has already lost a bunch of castles back here, and if he keeps losing them, then that is going to be very bad news. These guys need to send those trebs forwards and start taking these castles out, because that will stem the flow of elite Teutonic Knights and make this area more wide open to attack. Now in the center of the map, this is looking great in the center of the map. We've got Kuta here with some onagers. Those paladins now really taking up a lot of his population. He seems to be everywhere with his paladins. But Yellow and Teal making a huge push. I mean, they've pushed so far forwards. There's still a lot of gold in the middle of the map as well. Together, they're doing a great amount of damage to Kuta here. Kuta, in fact, now with that siege onager upgrade, get on the onager hype, everybody, because the siege onagers are on the field. The huge monster kills are about to happen with those siege onis out for the Teuton player. God, you gotta love them. They're just so destructive. Gotta love it. We got heavy scorpions out for Kuta as well, and this now is where that gold is being spent. Now, that siege is gonna be so huge for Titanic. They are gonna be able to produce some incredibly large amount of damaging units, and with the heavy scorps coming out as well, that will pretty much put an end to NH Boy's halberdier spam. He is going to have to change tactics a little bit, because halberdier are no longer going to work against these heavy scorpions and these siege onagers. Kuta though could really do some work with these onagers back here if he just clears out this area. I'm telling you, if they just cut this, their trade would be going in a straight line across the top of the map. I can't get over that. It's such a perfect straight line. It's open. They've just got one little bit of tree line blocking them, and he could do so much with those onagers. If he just opens up their trade route, they would get so much more gold, and that would be very valuable to them. Kuta then, he's got to have majoritively military at the moment. He's saying that got 2,000 gold as well. Having a look at his eco, he has about 110 units eco, and 90 of his units are going to be, 90 of his population even is going to be military. But this left flank is looking very good now for the Titanic team. Like I say, they really started to push back. These castles going down for Cloud, and although Cloud's got more back here, and these guys are sending more and more units in, those castles are very expensive, and once they go down, there's not going to be much that they can do to replace them. We've got Iridescent running in the back with some cataphracts. He's going to have to run through many castles here, though. Rox and Cloud just castling up like crazy, and those cataphracts will never make it to the eco. I can guarantee it. They will not make it back. Look at those cataphracts getting cut down by those 3 castles there. There are so many castles they have to run through that raiding the eco of the Roma team is just, yeah, it's not happening. Unless they manage to get through this gate, they might get, what, 3 or 4 cataphracts in, but it is unlikely. Meanwhile, though, Levi B coming in at the right time with those Arbalest, it seems. He is just able to bring them in when it's most needed. and start taking out this army from Iridescent. Of course, those hand cannons going to get cut down very quickly by the Arbs as well. We've got Trebs deploying from Cloud, and it is so back and forth on this left flank. And I want to check the right flank because I find it hard to believe that nothing is happening over here. There's literally nothing. It's the center of the map where the action is, but wow, those heavy scorpions from Kuta going to be putting out so much damage now. There is, like I say, nothing really that NH Boy can do with these halberdier. They will just get cut down immediately by the heavy scorpions here. The paladins, on the other hand, will cause a lot of trouble. Kuta should probably try and put some halbs in front of this army of scorps, because they are getting cut down by the paladins. If it wasn't for the paladins there, they probably would have survived. And scorpions en masse are so devastating if you can keep them safe, and Kuta there just failed miserably at doing that. Obviously needs a lot more in the way of halbs to put there in front of them. So these guys pushing forwards really well in the middle of the map. Titanic looking very bad in here. In fact, this is very close to their trade as well. Like I said earlier on, I'm surprised they didn't wall it, and it is still unwalled. As NH Boy and Cloud make a push with Levi backing it up with Arbs, the trade is, you know, a screen away at the moment. Those halbs, though, are going to do so little damage, but the paladins will get in there and cause havoc. On the left flank still, I gotta say, gotta hand it to them. Roma are pushing this one back again, though it does look like they are running out of steam once more. It's very back and forth on this left flank, but mad gains in the center of the map for Roma as they continue to push forwards now. But in comes Iridescent. He's like, no, you do not push forwards. Cataphract coming in, and whoa, the FPS there dropping like crazy as those units all swarm on the screen. Gotta say, Levi B's Arbalest here are doing way more damage than you might think. The Arbalest are going to take down those siege onagers from range, and they are going to cut through those cataphracts as well. Huge numbers of siege here from Kuta, though. He is non-stop spamming the siege, but Iridescent with those cataphracts at the right time coming in, because if he didn't, Kuta might have been pushed right back there, and that would have been terrible. Like I say, the trade line here way too close for comfort, and they are putting up siege workshops here right in the trade. That's going to cause problems. These units will end up getting stuck, and we've seen how bad that can be already. Whoa, very, very big battle. So yeah, just got to remember that purple and blue are teamed here. Teal, grey, and yellow teamed. And they are just really spamming everything they've got into this. But these units on this little hill, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is a tiny hill here that Kuta is sticking to. He's getting that attack advantage with those scorpions and with those siege onagers, and that is huge in this situation. Those onagers there are going to be putting out tons of damage if they can land the shots. And wow, Kuta's still getting pushed back. And this is bad because these guys are diverting a lot of resources into pushing the middle, or defending the middle. And on this left flank, Rox now is massing up these conks, and he has a lot of conquistadors over here. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Antan might not be able to stop Rox's push on this top side. He's got that paladin upgrade, but the conquistadors, so many of them, and bombard towers now from Rox as well as that siege ram upgrade, which he's hoping to push through on this top. So yeah, Anton saying they need siege onagers on the top, and they're right. Without siege onagers up there, they will get pushed back by Rox. But meanwhile in the middle, blue sending so many heavy camels in, so many cataphracts in, and this is an absolute massacre right in the middle of the map. It's like everybody wants a piece of the action. Even VM is bringing in his onagers now for good measure, and making some siege rams here as well. But like I say, these units, these trade units, going to be getting stuck, and that is a problem, costing them a lot of resources. I'm surprised at this point in time there's been no raiding at all on the trade. But look at Roma's trade line; it is so neat. There's hardly any blocking here. It's so nice and open. It's almost a straight line across the map, and the closer to a straight line you can make it, the better. Because if you have a straight line of trade, you're going to get a lot more gold from it. And as we know already, Gold is really the defining factor in this game. In the late game stages, these post-Imperial Wars, the gold is going to be what makes it or breaks it. And these guys here, a little bit more of a messy trade line. That is a big problem, and you don't see that in the Roma trade line at all. And I stress this every time we watch a big team game, how important trade is. And at the moment, Roma must be on top with the trade at this point. It's looking very much to be a stalemate right now. But if Rox can push on this left flank and get past these castles, he might start to be able to raid that trade a bit. In fact, I saw him making some hussars earlier. If he can make some hussars and run them into the back, he might start doing some serious damage there. But he's not going to push very well against all these bombard towers. He needs some siege rams to take them out. Otherwise, he is just basically pushing in futility. Wow, this army from... Just look at the huge number of paladins there. My god. Mass graveyard in the center of the map. But Roma are really pushing forwards now, and it's looking very good for them as they push forwards with these bombard cannons, which were kind of, you know, these are really difficult to spot if you've not got your eye on the ball. And yes, bombard cannons are going to be starting to gut out a lot of this area of the map. NH Boy building some forward siege workshops as well, and everything that the Roma team have seems to be put into this push now, with all three of them, or three of the four of them, trying to sink as much as they can to the middle of the map. This left flank, though, it's Antan versus Rox, and Antan's holding him off for now, holding Rox off, that is. Rox starting the bombard cannon production, though, and they do outrange those bombard towers, so the bombard cannons might just be able to start pushing this one back. But that's not even important if this area of the map is lost. We've got NH Boy coming forwards, building bombard towers as well, which is going to make it very difficult for the Titanic team to be able to push back against this. The bombard towers are kind of like going to delay pushing back massively, and that will be a huge problem for them, because it's just going to enable the Roma team to keep pushing in time after time. And they are getting close to these trade carts. Now, this isn't the main area of the trade, of course. That's a bit further back. But, I mean, if they're here, then they're really not going to be far away from here. And finally, Kuta is starting to open out this area of the map. But it's a risky job. He could end up killing his own trade carts if he's not careful with that. Those siege onagers, 75 plus 1 damage. And that is enough to kill some trade carts quite easily there. So, Kuta, not really, concentrating on what he's doing. But, hey, I guess he's got bigger fish to fry at the moment, with these 5 siege onagers in here laying out the damage onto those paladins. My god, he is not stopping, is he? So many siege onis, and we're yet to see a huge amount of damage from them. But I think that's because this composition, these arbalest and these bombard cannons behind this are probably sniping off the siege onagers before they can really do all that much. Of course, those paladins as well getting right in there. But it looks like Roma might just be running out of steam a little bit here. Iridescent bringing down those camels and cataphracts, and they seem to be able to be, I don't know, it looks like to me blue is massing up a little bit more on this left side and actually pushing Cloud back slightly, and Kuta moving out now as well, moving those paladins into a wall of halberdier and bombard towers. That's pretty ugly, but he is sniping those bombard cannons. That's what he went out there to do. He focused them down, and if he takes out those bombard cannons, then he will be able to prevent Roma from pushing in even more. But wow, this is such a messy game at the moment. So messy. So much just destruction. Just look at all those bodies on the floor. It's just like, what? So mad. Wow, VM coming in from this side. We kind of forgot about VM, but that was a great play from him, coming in with those siege rams. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough, and Cloud will take them out. That will distract his attention from the front slightly, though. And VM wasn't able to take those bombard towers down. He did a good job of it, and he is going to keep, of course, slinging his teammates all this time as well. I think VM mostly has trade now. If we have a look at VM's eco very quickly, he has 115 trade units, and that is massive at this point in time. That's huge. But yeah, Roma's still pushing forwards, and I honestly think Roma probably have by far the most gold income, simply because their trade is so much more efficient. Now, everyone at the moment seems to have some gold, which is good to see, because otherwise they would not be able to keep making these gold units. But yeah, once again, Cloud's starting to push forwards on this left side, and the thing here as well is that because Levi B has all of these Arbalest, that is supporting this army of paladins so well. It doesn't even matter so much that Iridescent is massing camels and cataphracts, because the Arbalest are a great counter to both of those units, as long as they have some kind of a meat shield, and that is the paladins here. So those Arbalest are putting out some serious damage, and Levi B with, you know, very few units here in comparison to the other guys, but he is able to put out a lot of damage, and it looks like this front line has been completely broken now from Titanic, and Cloud's getting in there, taking out that siege from Kuta, that expensive siege, and these guys now gonna be going for those trade carts as well, and that is looking very bad for these guys. Iridescent trying to sling up a castle here in defense, but Paladins from Cloud are gonna be taking those villagers out very quickly. It looks like Kuta's kind of given up widening this trade route as well. And wow, this push from Titanic, from Roma even, is enough to cause the GG, it seems. Kuta calls GG now. Oh no, he doesn't. He calls GG, but Antan says no. On the left flank, these guys have hardly moved. Antan and Rox are still here, still fighting it out. It looks like Antan's really got the disadvantage in terms of military numbers now, but he's sending those paladins to the middle. Everything that these guys do... Sorry, everything that these guys are doing is basically now just defending the middle. Blue's eco is just gone. I mean, Blue has no eco left. It's just disappeared. It's been swallowed by this Roma army, and they are getting right into that trade line, and they're going to cause havoc, especially those Arbalest. They are just going to stand there on a hill, probably, and snipe all of the trade carts. And, well, these guys are going to realize pretty soon, the Roma team that is, that the trade's actually further back. In fact, NH Boy, they're Xing that now. And imagine if you get an Arbalests in here, or even an Onager shot in there, that would be huge. So they're going to have to push back a little bit further, waiting for those Paladins from Antan to come in. But I'm not seeing them anywhere just yet. There they are, on that left flank there. They're going to try and do what they can, but yeah, Antan incredibly outnumbered, and sending those paladins away means that Rox is pushing in on this left side now as well, and those units from Rox there are able to take down those castles. Iridescent saying, I've lost all my farms, it's GG, yeah. Iridescent just nothing left back here, no eco at all, literally just trade carts and that's it. And eventually they will run out of that bank of food. In fact, Iridescent, if we have a look, 1,400 food left, but once that's gone, it's gone. It's not going to get that back if he has no farms, and he has nowhere to build them at the moment either. Roma's still pushing in, and they just seem to just be overwhelming the Titanic team now. And very much like the Titanic team sinking in that first game, or in this first game. More forward buildings, and this is so crucial for this push to be working as well. I mean, the Roma guys have such an advantage now that they are just able to build these forward military buildings and reinforce much faster. That's huge. That means they're going to be able to keep that pressure on non-stop. And in fact, NH Boy could probably delete a load of his villagers. In fact, he probably has. He doesn't have many villagers back here at all. He could delete a load of his villagers. Levi B could delete a load of villagers, and they could just keep pushing forwards and building more military. They're complaining now. Titanic are complaining about VM not making any archers, and honestly, those Arbalest have done so much damage this game. But there's the GG from VM. VM's going to reside, and it looks like Titanic are going to go out of the first game with a loss. Iridescent resigning there, Kuta resigning, and Antan shortly to follow. These guys were into that trade line, and that was just too much for them to deal with. Way too much pressure coming into that trade there, and that was enough to cause them to call the GG, and I don't blame them. After losing the trade, after Blue losing all of his farms, I mean, what could you expect, really? It's just, yeah, expected at that point in time. But I've got to say, guys, that was a very close game up until the 1 hour and 15 mark. The last 15 minutes really turned around for Roma. I mean, this left flank was back and forth, back and forth. The center push, though, from Roma was fantastic. And without that, they probably would still be in a stalemate at this point in time. And I think it was a very wise decision for them to kind of neglect this right flank here. and push up the middle together instead. And it did work out very, very well, allowing them to get up to that trade all the way through. Just that finger of death coming up out of the Roma's side of the map. Well played to Rox as well, actually. Rox, their second MVP of the game, and for staying feudal for so long and having such a very bad time in the feudal age, he did a great job of pushing this flank back on his own against Antan, and very well played by the Roma team indeed. That makes it 1-0, and this is a 5-game series, so there are another 4 games to come, so don't go anywhere. There is plenty